Well, salutations, fellow vidiots. Welcome back to yet another episode of that full moon madness, baby. Today we are continuing our sequence, really started with Dollman, if you want to think about it, then continued with Demonic Toys, and continued further with today's selection. That's 1992's motherfucking Bad Channels. This is a movie that I was familiar with in terms of, like, reputation and seeing the poster art and the VHS around over the years. I knew that it was like a staple of the Full Moon library for a lot of people, but I'd just never gotten around to checking it out. I think I'd seen snippets of it in Video Zones or something like that. I was definitely aware of what it was and what its whole gimmick was for the most part. I just, for some reason, never made time for it. And every now and again you run across one of those movies that you finally make time for, where you're kind of kicking yourself right in the fucking beanbag for wasting so much time sleeping on it over the years, because you could have been enjoying it for like decades. Bad Channels is absolutely one of my favorite Full Moon movies of all time, and that's only going to increase the more times that I revisit it. I've only seen it once and absolutely fell in love with every fucking moment of it. Hopefully today's review will impress upon you why, or remind you of why it kicks ass if you have indeed seen it in the past. Worth revisiting about 1,000,000 fucking times in your lifespan. Bad Channels was directed by Ted Nicolau. It was produced by Charles Band and Keith S. Payson. It was written by Charles Band and Jackson Barr. It's got cinematography by Adolfo Bartoli. It was edited by Carol Oblath. Obviously, it was done by Full Moon Entertainment, and it was distributed by Paramount Home Video, and released on June 25th of 1992. It features a soundtrack composed and performed by the band Blue Oyster Cult, which is one of my favorite bands on the fucking planet, and it also features songs from other bands such as Psychotic Symphony, Joker, Fair Game, and DMT. Soundtrack absolutely fucking slaps, and they showcase a lot of rock and roll in this movie, because it's basically just a gigantic sci-fi comedy rock and roll music video extravaganza. Essentially, the gist of Bad Channels is this controversial shock rock and roll DJ named Dangerous Dan O'Dare has recently been hired on at this small know-nothing like radio station in the middle of nowhere, where they have recently found a loophole wherein everybody is suspicious of the 6.66 like radio frequency or whatever, so nobody will broadcast on that. It's just an open, clear channel station for nationwide broadcasting that they can use. And they used to be a polka station, but they've decided since they've got this opportunity to broadcast nationwide and really make some money, they're going to hire Dangerous Dan O'Dare and convert, the station into a rock station. So he's hosting this whole polka marathon to close out their polka days and usher in the rock and roll fucking mayhem. And the whole gimmick of this marathon is he's playing polka until somebody can call in and like guess the combination to the lock on these chains that he's wrapped up in, and then he can finally play fucking heavy metal and rock and roll and shit. As this is going on, a UFO lands nearby, a big old lumpy-headed motherfucker shows up, starts vaporizing dudes, eventually takes over the radio station with Dangerous Dan O'Dare and his audio engineer, Corky, trapped inside, and the movie just gets insane from there, with them literally using rock and roll and heavy metal to, get inside the brains of these women that they want to abduct, that they then shrink and teleport into these tiny test tubes. Nobody can do much about this because they've locked down the entire radio station with this like fast growing fungus that responds to fucking rock and roll music. It's just amazing. The more heavy shit you play for it, the faster it grows. I just can't say enough good stuff about this movie. There's so many layers of comedy to it that just make it amazing, while at the same time allowing it to be just a fun little sci-fi romp. It doesn't feel like they're making jokes just for the sake of making jokes. It feels like they just had a natural sense of humor that they carried through the entire movie. And honestly, it's one of my favorite sci-fi comedies I've ever seen, not only just in terms of Full Moon movies. In addition to the slapping soundtrack, the cast is absolutely wonderful. You got Dangerous Dan O'Dare, played by Paul Hipp. He kind of looks like Kevin DuBrow from Quiet Riot, so that makes it pretty awesome. He seemed like he was having a fucking rad time making the movie. You got MTV VJ Martha Quinn playing Lisa Cummings, who's like a local TV reporter trying to get the scoop on all this, publicity crap for the radio station and aliens and whatnot. And then one of my favorite characters in the movie is definitely like the radio station manager, Vernon, played by Aaron Lustig. Dude is absolutely hilarious, just having a mental meltdown as all this crazy shit is happening over the air. Honorable mention to the always delicious Charlie Spradling playing Cookie, who really should have been, you know, the featured lady in Dollman vs. Demonic Toys. They ended up retconning that stuff. More on that later. And definitely more on her later when we enjoy her succulent bosom while reviewing Meridian. Phase 3, baby. I can't really think of too much else to say about this that I probably already haven't said. It's just a fucking absolute banger of a movie from start to finish. You know, the way it's paced, the way it's put together, it perfectly mixes, like, that awesome fucking sci-fi comedy action with, like, the MTV aesthetic of the music videos, and it just feels like exactly what it is, which is just a badass sci-fi comedy fucking rock opera mixtape of fucking awesomeness. And the way they tie it into Dollman vs. Demonic Toys with, like, a Marvel movie style end credits sequence is just fucking amazing. I don't know if they're one of the people that pioneered it, but it's definitely, like, probably the earliest example I can think of seeing that in a movie. And it's just fucking amazing. Because it wasn't like something just tying it into a direct sequel, it was something tying it into a crossover film, just like Marvel went on to, like, perfect in the modern times. I'll probably have a lot more to say on it when I eventually do a discussion for it, because like I said, I've only seen the movie once, so I'm still in the process of absorbing it myself. And as I'm sure I've made clear, it is kind of an overwhelming experience of kick-assery. So there's a lot to take in, and it definitely is going to be rewatched by me at least 2 or 3 times in the near future. I've already fired it up once or twice and just watched the music video segments again, because they kick fucking ass. So get out there and fucking check it out. Bad Channels is absolutely like a, you know, new to me classic in the Full Moon library. This will forever be in the regular rotation because it's just that good. Cheers to you. We'll see you back here with the final film in our sequence, which is Dollman vs. Demonic Toys. A lot of stuff coming full circle in that bitch, so hopefully you guys are looking forward to it as much as I am. I have been Mosley, you've been a bunch of sexy beasts, and this has been yet another episode of that Full Moon Madness, baby.
The world of Full Moon lives online at fullmoondirect.com. Classics like Puppet Master, Demonic Toys, Subspecies, and more recent favorites Ginger Dead Man, Evil Bong, Killjoy, and more can be found at fullmoondirect.com on DVD, Blu-ray, limited edition box sets, replicas, toys, shirts, and more. Only available at fullmoondirect.com.